Hi, everyone. I'm glad that quite a few of us have gathered here on today's Zoom. I'll try, or rather, we'll try to show you some tricks, well, more like some finer points about the Mosaic chain that I think are necessary for anyone who really wants to use this chain competently. The main topic of this Zoom is delegation and staking, and the things related to these. So these are what we'll be focusing on primarily, and I won't take up any more of your time. I think you can see and hear me, but let me know if you can't. I'll quickly share my screen here. Oh, not this one. So as usual, we'll start everything from the Mosaic Chain's website. And first and foremost, we'll be looking at a lot of things in the Explorer. The Mosaic Chain website, you can find it at mosaicchain.io, and you can access the Explorer by clicking the Mainnet Explorer button at the top right. What will be very, very important for us on our journey is the next site that Istvan mentioned, mosaiconboring.com. So if I were just starting out, if I hadn't done anything yet, say I have a validator, but I haven't installed or activated my validator yet, I have a delegator, I haven't minted it, I haven't done anything with it, I haven't delegated this delegator NFT to anyone. And in some cases, Mosaic has such things. I would also start looking around here first. This site can be translated into 4 languages, so you can practically use it in Hungarian, Czech, Italian, and of course, as you can see, the default setting is English, but now we're seeing it in Hungarian. Here in video format, you will find all the necessary information. And these videos are actually good, so you can learn everything from them. But it's not a problem if we repeat ourselves several times and continuously follow this process, even in Zoom calls like this. In order for someone to obtain the Delegator NFT, or even the Mosaic NFTs, there is a step 0. And this step 0 is that you have to create multiple Sav Wallet wallets. So there's one main Sav wallet, and within that, you can create several Sav Wallet accounts. You can create these accounts by first, of course, setting up the main account by going to the Sav Wallet website, downloading the browser extension from there. Personally, I prefer to use it on a desktop, but it can also be installed on a phone. You can create sub-accounts by going to the main page of SAP Palettes, where there is an account selector in the middle menu with a little drop-down tab. Here, by clicking on the Create a New Account button, you can create a new account, and each account will have its own new seed phrase. This is the 12-word recovery code. So for every account, you need to generate a new seed phrase so that if anything ever happens to your accounts, you can recover them. With the devices you have, each account can be restored independently of the others on a new device. As Istvan also mentioned, there is a huge responsibility here, because from the moment you mint your NFTs or Mosaic coins from the Novelist Prime site, or to put it in Hungarian, you extract them, which might be a synonym, though not exactly, the responsibility is yours. From that moment on, it becomes your own responsibility what will happen to them in the future. Our main issue, if we look at the Mosaic Explorer, is that at the bottom of the Mosaic Explorer, there is always a status button, which is worth checking out. I've already mentioned that the number of validators isn't really increasing either. So the total number of validators is 1990, of which 1859 are active at the moment. As you can see at this moment, 128 are in chill and 3 are faulty in this regard. But what most justified today's Zoom presentation, I think, is the number of minted Delegator NFTs. So as Istvan also mentioned, there are currently 3,396 Delegator NFTs minted as we look at this Zoom presentation. And there would still be about 5,000 more, if I understood correctly, though obviously I don't have visibility on that. But that's beside the point. The situation is indeed easier for the Delegator NFTs, because in the case of the validators, the roughly 400 entities who still haven't minted their validator NFT have essentially been losing money continuously since the open distribution on December 1st, because for their Mosaic coins, it still hasn't started yet. The exchange trading, meaning that first it will be available on decentralized exchanges for which a liquidity pool is needed. However, regardless of this, validators are generating Mosaic coins on a daily basis, which will obviously be convertible to forints once trading begins. So honestly, for those who haven't done this yet, I don't know what the reason is, because I understand that some people are waiting, that they bought an NFT as an investment. Although it's hard to interpret that word in this context, and then when it becomes more valuable, they try to realize that value on the market. But what if, while that NFT is becoming more valuable, it would also continuously generate Mosaic coins? And God forbid, you could even gain additional benefits from the price fluctuations of the Mosaic coins. So, in my view, this is the perfect path. But of course, as many people as there are that many different approaches. We are, so I understand a lot of things. Regardless, the questions that come to customer service, so today I just saw a small sample, but there are some astonishing things. Like you can see from miles away that the person asking the question has been sitting with their back to the monitor for years, and now for some reason they've suddenly developed the urge to access everything. But the level of information deficiency is such that it leads to complete distortion. So actually, regarding the Mosaic Galaxy, this, however, bothers me a bit from this perspective because really you can't even say that we're struggling with a lack of information, since regarding the various aspects of the Mosaic Galaxy, and everything about Nova Australia, there have been millions of Zoom presentations, Monday calls, crypto classes, master classes. Every team has officials, sorry. There are presentations for each team. Everyone shows things to their own partners in an obvious way, or hopefully does, and you can learn from these. So if someone misses the information, it really means they haven't paid any attention at all. All right, never mind. Let's move past this and get to today's topic. Actually, the minting, staking, and delegating of delegator NFTs and Mosaic coins, as you also said, we need to start with minting. For this, you need the wallet that I showed you earlier. If we're talking about delegator NFTs, then in a wallet created specifically for delegator NFTs, we can mint 5 delegator NFTs. I also recommend creating a separate wallet for minting Mosaic coins. So I think this is more practical and, in my view, easier. But of course, this is also somewhat optional, but I think this is the best setup. Once you have these wallets, all you need to do is go to the Novalis Prime website and log in to your own Novalis office. Here, in the onboarding section of the menu on the left, regardless of which NFT you have acquired, whether you have merged or bought validator NFTs, you will mint a validator NFT. If you bought a delegator NFT, of course, everything that is not a validator NFT. So for NFTs under 10,000 USDT, we can talk about validator NFTs. And below that, you have the option to mint Mosaic coins. There's nothing special you need to do. Just connect the required wallet by clicking the Connect Wallet button here. And of course, you can read the NFT guides and the minting guide as well. Then you simply go ahead and mint your Delegator NFT, your Mosaic coin, or your Validator NFT with the press of a button. When it comes to validator NFTs, to be completely precise, I should mention that numbered accounts need to be created in such a way that only one validator NFT can be minted per numbered account. So if you have one validator NFT, you create a separate numbered account for it. If you have delegator NFTs, then a maximum of 5 delegator NFTs can go into a sub-wallet created for them. And if you have Mosaic coins, in my opinion, it's best to create a separate sub-wallet for the Mosaic coins as well, so you can mint them that way. Once the minting is done, what you'll see is, well, let me clarify this in advance. You won't see the NFTs, but you will be able to see the amount of Mosaic coins in each of your wallets. You won't see the NFTs. We'll check the NFTs later on the Mosaic Explorer. Of course, I'll demonstrate, hopefully, every trick in detail related to delegation. There are countless questions about this, and I'm sure Istvan can confirm that people are looking for their delegator NFTs in their Sabalet wallet. You won't see them there. However, if you connect your Sabalet wallet to the Mosaic Explorer, then you'll be able to see them there. NFT. However, the Mosaic coins are visible without any issues. I should add that now you no longer need to manually add the URL link for the Mosaic coins in Subwallet, meaning the reference link through which Subwallet could show you how many Mosaic coins are registered in a given account. Instead, in the main menu of Subwallet, which you can access from the top left by clicking on the Manage Networks button, you can simply type in Mosaic, and then you can successfully enable and activate the Mosaic chain, and from that specific moment forward, the Mosaic coins will begin to appear natively within your interface. If during the course of your use you happen to forget to display the Mosaic coins, you can easily do so by navigating to the Manage Networks button, searching specifically for the Mosaic chain, turning it off, and then simply turning it back on again. Okay, so generally speaking, this is the standard process for how these coins usually appear and function. The Mosaic coins. Okay, and now let's take a detailed look at the Mosaic Explorer to see what we need to do with our NFTs and what we need to do with our Mosaic coins in order to be able to send them to validator nodes. So first, as I showed you the way, we go to the mosaicchain.io website, click on Mainnet Explorer in the top right corner, and at that moment, this interface opens up. As you can see here, this is the Mosaic chain. It puts its hand on the main artery, basically where you can track all the information related to the Mosaic chain with transaction numbers, etc., etc. But we've already done a demonstration about this earlier, so if you don't mind, I won't go into detail about it now. What makes the Mosaic chain special is that we have a decentralized indexer. So essentially, the Mosaic chain, the entire ledger of Mosaic is present on all validators. As I showed earlier, when we did the Mosaic Exploder with Istvan, he demonstrated that, for example, in the case of the Ethereum network, there is a site called etherscan.io, which runs on a centralized server. And through that site, you can see all the information about the Ethereum network, for example. Of course, that's the other largest crypto asset, so it's really important how precise the information you see is. What's really special about Mosaic is that for every validator machine we have, you'll see a different snapshot. By selecting any validator machine, you'll see a snapshot, a current state of the Mosaic ledger. And I think just by simple logic that this inspires much greater trust in this respect, because a centralized site is always more susceptible to manipulation than if the information is distributed across multiple locations and can be accessed from any of them. So this is a fantastic thing, but it's just a side note in terms of today's topic. Now, how can we delegate delegator NFTs? Let's start with that. First of all, here on the Mosaic Chain Explorer, in the top right corner, there's a little Connect Wallet button. With this, we can connect our subwallet. I recommend using the subwallet for Polkadot. .js wallet I used, it's just terrible, so it's not a user-friendly solution at all, so it's better to use our subwallet. Here you can see my accounts, the two Validator Pro accounts, one for the Validator Delegator NFT, and the subwallet accounts created for the Mosaic coins. We'll be dealing with the Delegator accounts, and now I've selected this one, Delegator account, which I've labeled as live, but of course everyone can name their account however they like. And before we open it, so before we look directly at the account, I'd like to give you a little extra information about this. Here we have a small button over here on the right. So when you click on the live delegator account or your own account, there's this button called Manage Identity. And here you can name your own. So your account, you can give it any name you want. And this way, it's much easier to find the transactions that are linked to your account. Okay, so here you can set a display name. You can enter your real name, and if you have a website, email address, Twitter account, you can link all of those as well. So all your references can be found here in that sense. And for example, from the perspective of delegation, this is not a negligible thing either, because if you know who you want to delegate to, then in many cases, it's enough to just look for that person. Okay, so this is the first little trick that I think could really simplify a lot of things when it comes to delegation or staking. Okay, so we've looked at this. And then regarding the information about our account, here we have delegator NFTs. I'm talking about the accounts, so you can view this information by pressing the View Account button. And here you can see how much Mosaic coin I have earned so far by delegating my NFTs. As you can see here in this wallet where my delegator NFTs are, there is a total of 1,189 Mosaic coins. The spendable amount, this 149 Mosaic coins are spendable, meaning that's the amount of tokens you can freely use. So if you want, once it's tradable on an exchange, you can sell it on the exchange, send it to someone, or do whatever else you want with it, lock it up, etc. There's also an untouchable amount, which you won't be able to access. This is a very minimal number. What's really important here is the on-hold amount. In this case, in this story, that's 1039.5 Mosaic coin. This is the amount that essentially I have already received as a result of delegating, or in the case of validated NFTs, as a result of validation. However, what you need to understand about this is that even though you receive coins for validation, delegation, or staking, these coins are not immediately, or even after 28 days, since here there is this minimal, until you can move your given asset, coin, or delegated NFT out from the validator to whom you delegated them. So the system doesn't work in a way that after 28 days, these Mosaic coins automatically go into your spendable balance. Instead, they will be put under staking. So here you can see the 1039 Mosaic coins that I received because the Delegator NFT, because I sent them to someone. You can find and unlock these by going to the staking menu in your own account, checking the My Staking section, and as soon as the page loads, you can see in my case that these Delegator NFTs have been sent to the individual validator pools. Here you can see all the stakes. So here you can see it's 73.348 Mosaic coins. I'll explain later how this amount is made up. But here you have an unslake button. And by pressing this unslake button or by adjusting the amount of Mosaic coins, you can unslake the amount of Mosaic coins that you received as a reward from delegation. And you want it to become spendable, meaning it will be moved to your spendable balance. All right, so you can adjust this here, and by pressing the unstake button at the bottom of the page, though for me, the Zoom panel has annoyingly hidden it right now, you can select it. Also, delegator NFTs, for example, can be unstaked from this menu. So if the minimum lockup period has expired, or if the validator you delegated your NFTs to is not doing their job, you can release this stake here. You can select these NFTs either by clicking the All button or by selecting each NFT individually. All right, so everyone should just make a note of this as a footnote. By the way, it's perfectly fine if you use pen and paper, or even better, if you practice these things on your own computer while following along, if possible, because that way the mountain of information in my head, which I will be sharing with you in a certain order, will become much easier to learn. I'm going to explain it to you, but it might seem very complicated to some people. So that's why it's very important that you log into your FIU account. So FIU account, here you can see everything about your FIU code. And if you go to the staking page, once you've already staked your Delegator NFT, then here in staking on the My Staking page, you can claim your rewards or unstake your NFT. There's a Stake More button here. So for example, the NFTs that are available for staking, you can stake the freely available Mosaic coins. Okay, but how does the delegation process itself work? Well, the delegation process works like this. You have to go into this staking menu, into the account where your delegator NFTs are. Here in this staking menu, you can see the total amount of Mosaic coins you have. This includes the delegator NFTs as well as the Mosaic coins that have been staked so far. You can also see a staking rate here, meaning that 62% of all assets are already staked. Here, by all assets, we mean the minted delegator NFTs and Mosaic coins. You can also see our validator count here. We have a total of 1,990 validators, of which 1,860 are active, 122 are on standby, and here are the rest. Down here is the validator list, where you can browse and choose for yourself which validator pool you want to stake with, delegate an NFT to, or stake Mosaic coins. However, you can only delegate Mosaic coins with validator NFTs. Apart from this, there is also a proof of stake tab. The validator pools use the delegated proof of stake consensus, and as the name suggests, it includes the word delegated. So you can delegate your assets to these specific providers. You can't delegate to SEMA POS, but they are still clearly listed within the section of the interface. Now, there are two primary ways to stake your NFT with someone. If you don't know anyone personally, you just browse through this entire list to see who offers the most attractive and favorable commission rate. This commission rate is essentially the percentage that you effectively pay for the service of staking your NFT with them, is what the given validator pro takes from your rewards. Typically, this is still around 1%, but now you can see different rates as well. There's also a minimum staking period, which is the minimum duration you have to lock your NFT for. For example, with some, it's set to a minimum of 18 days, but you can browse through the list to find different options. Here are the contracts. With a Validator Pro, there are about 1,000 contracts per pro. Can accept staking. So it can accept staking through 1,000 different, essentially smart contracts. And then you can see, for example, with the Blue Galaxy validator, there are two such contracts. See, they set up the ID. So staking or delegator NFTs or mosaic coins were submitted through two contracts. Also, the status is very important. It needs to be active. The given Validator Pro should not be in chill mode if you want to delegate to it. In the long run, so looking at this over several months or even years, the Validator Pro's reliable performance will become extremely important. I don't want to go too deep into this now, but obviously it depends on how often a given Validator Pro goes into chill mode, because if it's in chill mode, or worse, gets penalized, then you too will receive a penalty on your Delegator NFT, okay? I already saw a question come up about this. Someone asked me to show where you can upload the given Delegator NFT, or rather, sorry, the Validator NFT. I'll show you that. I'll show you where you can top it up, but that will come later. So it's very important that you stake with a Validator Pro who is reliable, with a consistent and perfect 100% uptime record, because they are highly likely to validate reliably and consistently, and that is ultimately the best and most advantageous option for you. Similarly, the Delegator NFT possesses a unique property that for a specifically defined period, or depending on the particular NFT, for a specified period and in a specified total amount, you will receive consistent rewards for your delegating. So it is very, very beneficial for your strategy. Of the time you could use to collect rewards, how much do you waste by, for example, locking your stake or delegating your NFT to a validator who is in chill mode or has been penalized, right? So this really matters. That's why activity is important. Choose reliable validators. So the first way to try to filter out validators, this list, for example, is like this. You browse through a page with 50 displayed validators and pick the one you find most appealing. Here, for example, on Web3.x Flora, there are many that I already know and recognize. So there are these validators, and you check which one is the most ideal for you. The other way is that there's this staking link. Let's say you have a friend who has a validator, and your friend says, "Hey, buddy, I personally operate and maintain my own dedicated validator node with a consistent and reliable 100% uptime record. I'll send you the specific wallet address right away, and then you can easily delegate your NFT to me. That way, it's mutually beneficial and advantageous for both of us involved. I get a reward because you delegated to me, and you get a reward because I am performing my professional duties and responsibilities properly." In such a case, I would send you the direct link to the official staking page so you can begin. I usually copy both of those to a separate new page, paste them, then add a slash, and after that, I paste the received address. So I paste in the validator node's address. I'll show you this in a moment. I just need to find one. Let's say I'll copy my own validator here, since it has 100% uptime. Not to promote myself, don't get me wrong. It's just the simplest way. But I could have picked anyone from the list, really. To choose, as you can see here, this is the address of one of my validator nodes. I copy it, and then, as I did earlier, so what did I do earlier? I copied the staking solution, the staking page link from the page shown by one of the Mosaic chain.io nodes, and then I add my validator's address to the end of it and press enter. And with that, let's say we jump to my validator page, and then we can see all the related information. For example, whether my validator is active, what fee it charges, what the minimum staking period is, how many people have delegated to it, what the total stake is, and so on and so forth. But that's not the main point right now. The important thing is that once I have my address, I can very easily become a delegator for it by clicking on zlek.now.com to stake NFTs or mosaic coins. If I want to stake mosaic coins, it's very simple. I just enter the amount of mosaic coins I want to stake. As you can see, the minimum amount is 50, but honestly, if someone is staking their mosaic coins in increments of 50, I don't know, they're just wasting their own time. So it's worth staking a larger amount at once. That's how you can do it. So you just enter the amount of Mosaic coins you want to stake, and then under your sub-wallet, you need to specify that you want to monitor this amount of Mosaic coins. But we can go through this process. By clicking the Sign and Send button here, you want to lock it in, and you'll see the conditions again, that the minimum staking period is 672 cents, after which you can withdraw your coins. The commission is 1%, so they take 1% from your rewards, and you can also see the approximate transaction fee related to this. You click the Sign and Send button, sign it. With your sub-wallet wallet, you complete this transaction and it's already done. Okay, we won't go through this now. If you want to delegate an NFT, it's very simple. You just click on this Delegate NFT button. Right now, there are no delegatable NFTs in this wallet. As you can see under Available NFTs here, it shows you minted 0. To delegate an NFT, all you have to do is click here on Delegate NFT. Select the NFT you want to delegate. You press the Sign and Send button the same way, sign your transaction with your sub-wallet wallet, and it's done. Okay, the delegation is complete. So this is how simple it works. Okay, so now I've shown you both ways, how you can select randomly, that is assigned to a validator at random. Well, obviously not completely at random because you thoroughly check who you're delegating your NFTs or your coins to, or how you want to do it. How you can delegate specifically to someone by asking them for an address, and then their staking page becomes available. Okay, I think we've now covered the delegation of NFTs, and we've also discussed how to unstake them, meaning how to remove our NFT from delegation and, for example, move them to another validator. Let's look at how this works with Mosaic coins as well. Now, since we are currently talking about the topic of Mosaic coins, we really need to touch on the important concepts of vesting and freezing, because these are actually two very different functional concepts. In order to take a much closer look at this, I will now switch over to the specific sub-wallet where I originally minted my Mosaic coins directly from the Novalis office. So here, as you can see, I have successfully switched my wallets, and by simply clicking on the View Account button, the full management interface opens up for us to see, where I can see information related to my various Mosaic coins. As I know, there are currently 425,791 Mosaic coins in this wallet. There's an additional piece of information. The frozen balance, meaning the locked balance, is 414,000 Mosaic coins. And with that, let's quickly move on to what vesting is and what frozen means, or consumption. Vesting works in such a specific way that when you successfully mint your Mosaic coins directly from your Novalis back office, those newly minted Mosaic coins are automatically and systematically subjected to a very gradual release process. This essential mechanism is known as the vesting period. So this means that even during the active minting process in your Novalis office, you can clearly see exactly how many Mosaic coins are being released per individual block on the network. And those Mosaic coins, now I could go to my vesting menu here, but it's empty because my Mosaic coins are currently frozen. But let me explain what you would see here. So here you would see the total number of your Mosaic coins under the total menu. How many are available for withdrawal, how many you have already withdrawn, how many are released per block, what was the first block of this release period, this is the starting block, here is the ending block, meaning the last block when my final Mosaic coins or even fractions of Mosaic coins are released. Under progress, you can see what percentage has already been released. Here you'll have a claim button, and by pressing it, so if you haven't frozen your Mosaic coins yet, they're still investing, by pressing the claim button, you can withdraw the claimable balance, meaning the amount that's available for withdrawal. You can request it. What is the advantage of this? Your Mosaic coins are released gradually, so you're not committing to a very, very long multi-year lockup period. As your Mosaic coins are released and you claim or withdraw them, they will continuously move into your spendable balance. This way, if you want to sell them, they become sellable. You can also stake them, but staking coins that come from vesting is a bit more complicated because you either wait until you have a larger, more meaningful amount, since it's not really worth claiming the Mosaic coins one by one, as each claim will have a cost, plus each lockup will also have a cost. So if you decide to claim the Mosaic coins one by one, or even lock them up, or do anything else with them, then that's not an economical activity. So you should always wait until you have a larger amount, press the claim button, and then you can send that amount to a validator node and lock it up there. So what is frozen compared to this? Now I can show you, because I have 414,356 Mosaic coins frozen. Well, this freezing is literally called freezing because here you have to place long-term trust in the entire Mosaic galaxy. If you freeze your Mosaic coins, they are frozen for the long term. As you can see in my case, the ending block of this freeze, meaning the last block, is block number 19,538,570. Right now, we're only at block 1,300,000, and this is estimated to be around the morning or early hours of July 8th, 2029, when I can withdraw my coins that are currently frozen. Anyone who freezes their Mosaic coins has to commit to this long-term trust. But in return, they gain the advantage that, firstly, if the staking incentive is introduced between the 4th and 8th year into the pool, where an additional and substantial amount of 500 million Mosaic coins will be distributed among those dedicated participants who keep their Mosaic coins staked for a period of at least 4 to 8 years. So this serves as an extra motivating factor for everyone involved. Plus, the other important thing to consider is that the total amount of tokens you have frozen can be sent all at once directly to Validator Pro or any other validator to maximize your potential rewards. I'm going to show you right now exactly how I managed to do this. As you can clearly see, in this specific account as well, we have the top navigation menu. And all we really need to do is navigate over to the staking menu. Then carefully click on the My Staking tab. And once there, we'll be able to see absolutely everything related to our own frozen and staked assets, or just the vested but staked Mosaic coins that are currently in the system. Now, as you can see here, I distributed the Mosaic coins between the two validator nodes. I froze 414,000, and so there are 207,000 Mosaic coins with one validator node and 218,000 with the other validator node. These amounts already include the rewards, so if you add them up, you'll see more than 414,000. And here comes an important new feature, which I want to talk about. Today, Istvan and I received 100% certainty as he asked the developers about this. Istvan asked, what happens if I click the unstake button here? And as you can see, when you click the unstake button, it looks like your Mosaic coins could become available for withdrawal, or at least it appears that way, as if your staked Mosaic coins could be unlocked. This way I can withdraw my frozen Mosaic coin amount from the validator, but it will still remain frozen. So for anyone who is worried that all their Mosaic coins would be completely unstaked here and move to their spendable balance, that's not going to happen. This is just how you can request your frozen coins back from a specific validator. Let's say you delegated to them and they're not doing their job properly. This is how you can retrieve your frozen, or rather the amount that was frozen with them. Because you receive your Mosaic coins as a valuable reward for your participation, you can reclaim them right here and then, for example, move them elsewhere to another wallet, okay? So I truly think it is definitely worth paying close attention to this specific process. I really hope you understood the fundamental difference between coins currently investing and coins that are under consumption, okay? So it is really, really important to pay very close attention to this as well, as it affects your total balance over time. That in Ertilfell, we should delegate to a validator who does their job properly, because if they don't do their job properly, your Mosaic coins won't multiply. So how can we check the growth of these Mosaic coins? Well, we can check it by looking at, basically, in my case, the amount of Mosaic coins I've consumed and the difference. So here we can see that I've generated a little over 9,000 Mosaic coins since I staked them. We're talking about roughly a 1 month period here, maybe 5 to 6 weeks, perhaps 5 weeks. I'm not entirely sure, when I staked my own Mosaic coins. And of course, under the reward section below, you'll be able to see on a daily basis how much you receive for staking, how much you get for staking your coins, how much reward you earn. So you can see that this, in fact, we can say exactly that on December 10th, 2020, that was the first day, so it's actually more like 6 weeks ago, when I started or when I submitted my staked Mosaic coins to a validator. And then we can see that on December 10th, this already brought in 61 extra Mosaic coins. On the 11th, 149. And then you can look at it, compare things, and of course the balance history can be listed in the same way. You can gradually see here, for example, when these were minted and from when the extra balance starts to increase gradually. So it's all here in a completely trackable way. All right, so I think I've shown pretty much everything regarding staking with Mosaic coins. I'll go ahead and ask the first question, and then after that, we'll touch on a couple more detailed questions related to this specific topic, as well as the ones that Istvan and I discussed earlier today during our meeting. All right, okay. When you actually go through the process to mint the Mosaic coins, there was a very specific question about this as well. And as I mentioned previously and separately in our earlier conversation, I requested these extra Mosaic coins to a separate wallet, or rather, I requested my Mosaic coins to a wallet created specifically for Mosaic coins. And if I want to move them or perform any operation with them, if I don't have a spendable balance, I won't be able to execute a transaction. What does this mean? When you withdraw your Mosaic coins, they are either investing, so they are definitely investing, and none of them will be spendable. So to the wallet where you withdrew these Mosaic coins, you need to send a few spendable Mosaic coins, even from a wallet where you have a Delegator NFT, because as I can show you, next to every Delegator NFT, and in fact, next to every NFT, everyone received a balance of 50 Mosaic coins. This will be visible in a moment. Here's the Delegator NFT. And you can see here that there are 149 Mosaic coins in the spendable balance in this wallet. If we click on it, there are 3 NFTs in this wallet. You can see them here. With each NFT, I received a balance of 50 Mosaic coins, and I can send these Mosaic coin balances between my different wallets. So I created a separate wallet specifically for Mosaic coins, where I minted the Mosaic coins, which I can't do anything else with anyway, because I don't have a single coin in my spendable balance. So what I do is very simple. Here's the transfer button. You need to set a sending wallet. Let's say I send from my live Delegator wallet to any of my other wallets. I copy the address here, set how many Mosaic coins I want to send, and send it. And the moment it arrives in the other wallet, or rather very shortly after, within a very short period of time, I can freely and easily perform any operation with my Mosaic coins. And this is exactly how I can make my Mosaic coins fully spendable. Or, for another example, I can choose to freeze them, that is to say, lock them up securely, because for that specific action, I need to have freely available and spendable Mosaic coins. As you can clearly see right here, for me at this moment, this total amount is 0.8 Mosaic coins, with which you can perform quite a few operations, because a transaction costs about 0.1 to 0.2 Mosaic coins. Okay, so I think we've answered that question. Well, yes, this great comment came up asking if someone is aware that Codexa has ceased to exist. I won't even comment on that now, but Codexa definitely has not ceased to exist, though the status of Codexa is not the topic of this Zoom session. And the question is a practical one. Through the Novalis web office, with which option can a partner transfer their Mosaic coin to the subwallet? So here we're touching on the process of minting, which we just demonstrated earlier. Because on the Novalis Prime site, in the wallet section, there's no option to send the Mosaic coin to the subwallet. So this is a case where someone absolutely does not have the necessary information and tried to do it in the Novalis office, since in the Novalis office there is a separate wallet where we can perform many operations. But for example, we cannot send out Mosaic coins from there. As I showed earlier, to mint our Mosaic coins, after logging into our Novalis account, under the onboarding menu, in the most minting menu, we can connect our subwallet and mint to the given subwallet, which is the subwallet created specifically for this purpose. All right, everyone, so it is definitely worth paying close attention to this particular detail. Okay, now let's take a look and see exactly what kind of questions have come in on the chat today. One user is asking, how can I recover coins that were lost due to sloshing? Okay, I will show you exactly how to do that right here. For this specific process, you will first need to log in to the validator dashboard. Dashboard, if we're talking about validator NFTs. For this, I'll log into my own validator dashboard, one of them, okay? So we have a username, a password because we need to select our specific validator, and we also need to enter our two-factor authentication code. I'm entering that now, and then we'll log into my validator dashboard, where we'll be able to see everything about up here at the top of the interface, you can clearly see our main dashboard, and right next to it on the right side is the dedicated settings button. If you scroll down just a little bit further, you'll find a small but important top-up button. Here you can see it explicitly says NFT top-up. So this is the specific area where you can use your available spendable Mosaic coins to top up the full nominal value of your validator NFT directly. This ensures your validator remains fully funded and active within the network at all times. Maybe it's not visible here, but this is a Validator Pro. Its nominal or internal value is 249,900 Mosaic coins. If someone gets slashed, that is, penalized for not doing their job properly, dropping off the network, power outages, or any other technical issue, then the penalty amount is deducted from this nominal value. Fortunately, the penalty is quite small right now, so if someone has network issues, it's not too severe. You can use this to figure out which network device works best for your validator. Now here you can see the NFT top-up section. This is the top-up button. In my case, you can see that my validator NFT has the maximum nominal value, so it hasn't been penalized yet. However, for those who have been penalized, they can click the top-up button here to replenish this amount. So this is how you can handle it. Is there a plan to create a top-up interface for Delegator NFTs? I can't really answer that. The problem here is that when that validator it's fun, go ahead. No.
No, I don't know either. I just wanted to add something, but I'll save the question for later then.
All right, we'll look into this question. By the way, it's a good question. It follows completely logically. So when the validator node you've delegated to gets penalized, your NFT, then the delegator will receive an NFT penalty, meaning it will lose some of its nominal value. If this feature becomes available, of course we'll talk about it, so you'll be informed. Some people still don't have it, and the second machine is planning to buy it from the withdrawn money. Okay, that's accepted. Someone wrote that in their opinion, this information doesn't get through to those who haven't activated either their validator or their NFT. I don't know how we could get this information to them. Well, I think Istvan talks about this at length.
Not only did I reply to that message sender, but I'm telling you as well that next week something will be launched. I've just received the information today. The addresses are listed here, but we'll still need to decode them to get to the email addresses. This is the same as what I did with the at DevNet. You could see that there too. We made an effort to reach the number of validators that was important for moving forward, but unfortunately, it turned out there was a limit. No matter how many emails we send, if someone doesn't open them or they open them but don't read them, it doesn't help. But what is certain is that this campaign will launch at the beginning of next week, and then we'll see how it goes. Because as you can see, since December 19th, it's really just been like this. We are moving forward very, very slowly. And of course, it's great. Thank you to whoever wrote that they're now collecting for the next node, because that's happening too, as I mentioned. In fact, I even know of someone who said that right now they can't finance a node, so they would have one, but not even that, and they're waiting for that. So there are cases like this, but it's not the volume we're hoping for, the number of people joining.
That's right. In the meantime, there was another comment that yes, it's their responsibility whether they're active or not. Obviously, there are cases when someone can't do this, which is completely understandable. Personally, I just don't understand those who have everything they need to do it and yet they still don't. The next question would be if someone on the market wants to buy Best Mind Mosaic coin and wants to stake it themselves, will the rewards be automatically credited to their wallet? Yes. So their wallet, meaning whoever buys Mosaic coin, will also be able to do this through their wallet, connecting it to the appropriate decentralized exchange at the beginning, and the purchased Mosaic coins will be deposited into their wallet. The staking process will work the same way as I am now describing it in this, exactly as I have previously demonstrated to you in Zoom. So you don't actually have to do anything at all. They will automatically stake the assets on your behalf, and they will receive the rewards for staking according to the specific parameters and conditions that you have already established, such as the minimum staking period and the commission or the service fee charged for the staking process. As for the matter of topping up as a delegator, we talked about this earlier, and we still can't say for sure yet what that will look like. I would just add that staking and unstaking will take effect in the next session. Thank you, that's correct. Hi PT, the first flash of your screen share, well, I have it open too. Is it real or fake? Well, I think that was silver, what flashed up there. The price of silver, but let me not get into that now, okay? That's FOMO, that's what it's called. Hi everyone, I'd like to ask, what kind of mask did you use for these operations? Those who have them need to perform the operations. Anyone who had a Delegator NFT definitely had a package ranging from 250 to 5,000. If you have a Validator NFT, you bought a package worth 10,000, or back then 25,000 USDT. If I withdraw and realize the rewards that arrive in my main wallet, which are generated by the validator machine, from time to time the performance of my machine decreases. Now, let us consider this specifically from the detailed perspective of the incentive pool. Well, look, the incentive pool essentially means that if you decide to sell those mosaic coins that you had carefully kept in staking until that point, you obviously won't be eligible to receive a share from the incentive pool. Only those dedicated participants who choose to keep their mosaic coins staked for a long-term period of at least 4 to 8 years will truly benefit from the rewards in the incentive pool. Whether you choose to take the frozen reward, so you freeze your mosaic coins and stake them that way, and thus participate in the incentive pool, or you keep your mosaic coins investing, withdraw them, and continuously stake them to the validators, that's entirely up to you. So you need to top up your wallet with coins from the 3 already delegated NFTs. Yes. Which wallet will the system use to top up? Well, primarily you can top up from the wallet linked to the top up, okay? So for example, you received 50 mosaic coins along with your validator NFT, and your validator is also generating coins. You can unstake the amount produced and use that as well for topping up or replenishing the slab. I have 49 point something spendable mosaic coins. If I withdraw 9.351 mosaic coins from Flame, then I can stake mosaic coins, since the minimum amount that can be staked is 50 mosaic coins, right? Yes. Yes. So if your balance, your available balance, exceeds 50 mosaic coins, then you can stake at least 50. On the phone and the SumBallot wallet, I don't see that. In the mobile SumBallot wallet, I don't see the same thing as on the phone. On the desktop SamBallot wallet, you don't see the same thing as on the phone. That's how I interpret it. I don't know about this. There could be several reasons for it. Personally, I see the same thing. What I did was I created my SamBallot wallets needed for the operations on the desktop interface. Each of these SamBallot wallets has a recovery key. I restored it on the phone. I added it with the same password. Interestingly, I see the same thing. I think this is how it should be approached. If the lockup period expires and I'm satisfied with the delegator, though I suppose here we're talking about the validator, then the funds can remain with them again, along with the rewards. Or it might be worth unstaking the rewards at the end of the term. They can stay. As for the delegator NFT top-up, since the reward is automatically restaked, I think the top-up function doesn't make much sense. Also, the nominal value of the NFT is for a fixed term. It expires after that. Why would I put real mosaic coins in there? If the nominal value of the NFT drops by a certain percentage, you won't participate in validation, so it's worth topping it up. Okay, so there is a point to this. The fact that you receive validator rewards and then your validator has this 5 times value or whatever, let me quickly show this on one of my validator wallets. So here, the validator has 1, but actually it's not here you need to look, but under staking, and then my staking. And then your question will soon be answered as soon as the page loads in the background. So let me explain in the meantime. Here you can see that my validator's total stake is 254,118 Mosaic coins. The nominal value of my validator is 249,900. It doesn't matter how much your validator's total value is. If you get slashed, you'll lose from this nominal value. If your nominal value drops below a certain amount, you won't be able to participate in validation until you top it back up. I hope this answers your question clearly. You also need to specify that the system should automatically select where there are mosaic coins. You can only spend from the wallet where spending is allowed. in Mosaic coins. So if you want to transfer to another wallet to perform operations, obviously you'll receive it from the wallet where spending is allowed. Am I remembering correctly that I can quickly fix the indexer error with a node restart? Yes, that's correct. Balish points out that the validators currently shown are my validators, whose indexers have gotten stuck. Yes, thanks, Balish. So I'll take care of that myself. That's why. There's really no need to worry, regardless of this, because even with the indexer error, the validator still validates. I'll just go down to my shed and restart them, and everything will be fine. Okay, now as for what Attila and his team did in Davos, if that information is relevant, we'll talk about it, but it's not related to this right now, and I think we've reached the end of the questions. So I think we've covered this topic thoroughly. I hope it was understandable. Because you have to understand that we aren't born knowing how to use the Mosaic chain, the Mosaic Explorer, or the various wallets. These are all things you have to learn. We wanted to provide some guidance for this learning process, whether through the Zoom session or, once again, I'd like to repeat that on the mosaiconboarding.com website, you'll find a lot of useful information. And there's also a guide at docs.mosaicgalaxy.hu. It's also available on the Pantayo site. Everything is there as well. And if you don't speak English, you can use a translator to translate it. So first and foremost, you should use these platforms and these Zoom sessions, which we organize specifically to help you. Again, it's one of those things. There were X number of people on this Zoom, but I'd bet that these X people have either already done it or are at least taking steps in that direction. To get these things done, we should be reaching out together to those people who haven't done anything or who haven't dealt with it for years so that they don't suffer financially. Not for our own benefit, please don't misunderstand. This is a very important distinction. The Mosaic Galaxy will still